That's almost superhero music. We've got a superhero on the program with us today, the Apocalypse Man, but it's Rudy Reyes. He was in Generation Kill. Many do call him a superhero, the perfect definition of a form, mind, body, and spirit. Really glad to have you on today, Rudy, and I love talking to you. I wish we had a lot more time, but we were talking about war as a racket, Smedley Butler, and that coup from the Morgans, DuPonts, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, that if it wasn't for him, would have happened.
Yeah, we would have been in some kind of militarized state that we see in many regimes in Central America and South America, other regimes that actually we criticize.
I can't help but feel we almost ended up there anyway, Rudy.
For sure. Well, let us not lose sight that big business, which is now not even just American big business, because now big business is now global, but it is the SOP, the standard operating procedure, to put in puppet regimes in these certain third world countries that help leverage the region in order to exploit raw resources and or shipping lanes. So, I mean, that's been the way of the world for the last 100 years.
Absolutely, and even longer. What do the cadets at West Point think about, you've been critical of the war, you were a little critical of President Bush. I assume that criticism continues through the Obama administration, as not much has really changed. How do the cadets, how do your fellow military people think, or do they largely feel the same way, Rudy?
Well, this is what I do with the cadets. The cadets are... Well, I have to first of all say that I was so impressed with them. I'm not easy to impress when it comes to the military, because I've been with the best and the brightest in the world. These cadets, these young people, are just magnificent. They're thinkers. They question, but they're also taught military discipline, so they definitely have that kind of bearing that accomplishes missions. So what I do is I don't talk about politics too much. I talk about realities on the battlefield and what they're going to experience on the ground with the dirt in their nose and the grit in their eyes and the weapon in their hand.
Sure. Got to get them ready as you can. I think my question more was if they know who you are and have seen some of these comments.
How do they receive me?
Yeah.
How do they receive me as a rebel military man?
Yeah.
They receive me very well. Receive me very well. I think because no matter what one's criticism is of an administration, especially since, I already did my duty, and I never questioned anything when I was doing my duty. Right. When you have the credentials and you're still alive. Yeah, I mean, I've fought in 3 wars. I'm still alive. That's a proof that I know something.
Well, speaking of not questioning anything, there is a question of protecting and defending the Constitution against enemies foreign and domestic. That's part of the oath that our military and police take. Have you heard of an operation called Oath Keepers, who get our military and police to reaffirm that? So when the apocalypse comes, Rudy, it isn't the citizens versus the military.
I see. I have not heard of that. I don't count on any institution to help me through a struggle and through a breakdown of society. I count on myself first.
Sure. I mean, this is more of just a reaffirming of the oath. It isn't an institution to remind people of their primary oath, and that is not to take orders that might be considered unconstitutional. I don't know if you would agree with that or not.
I think it's a wonderful ideal. Unfortunately, I don't even see that happening in our society now, and our society is insulated, and the whole society here in America is not fighting. And even in this very soft and insulated world of the United States of America, that's not happening. Yeah. So I don't know, brother. I don't know what the answer is, except that one must get very serious with oneself about where they stand as a human being and where they stand as a warrior and where they stand as a patriot.
Boy, I couldn't agree with that more, and that's something we try to, project here in our program, but thinking for yourself. Great men think for themselves. We've changed the famous quote from think alike, and you exemplify that. Let's talk, before we run out of time, we've got about 2 or 3 minutes, and I know you're really busy. You got to fly. Apocalypse Man, it was filmed in Detroit. Rudy, it looked as if the apocalypse had already happened in Detroit due to, I guess, the economic depression there. Can you take us behind the scenes in the filming a little bit?
Absolutely. Well, we were filming Apocalypse Man in Detroit. There was no set dressing. It was not a set. It was real. And the apocalypse has happened there. I don't know when the last time you've been there, brother, but industry is completely left. They have a gorgeous downtown with only one of 8 buildings with businesses in it, and it's at 38% unemployment. Detroit is, and it's a society and a people that has been left behind by the globalization of industry, and it's third world in our own country, and it's just such a sad shame. But I've been in the third world a lot, in the Marine Corps and in Africa, and I know the way of the world, and it didn't surprise me. It's a sad thing, but it did not surprise me.
You have a lot of tips in Apocalypse Man, as you mentioned. This could be picked up for more issues. We've got Man vs. Wild. There's a lot of great shows like this that I think are really instructive for people. We see you giving us a lot of tips, Rudy, on Apocalypse Man. How much of that was edited for time? I mean, obviously you can't sit there for an hour distilling gasoline. It doesn't make for good TV.
Sure.
But a lot of it, probably edited, and I think some people had questions as to if the rest of us, you're Superman, if the rest of us could do the things you did.
Sure. Well, you know what? Okay. If a person can't do the things that I did in the show, then they better get to a position where they can.
Yeah.
They better get more serious about how they eat and teach and train their body, which is their vehicle in this world, to be able to be survivable and to not just survive but eventually thrive. Now, there was much more that you all did not see. In the first episode, I was hunting rats, and I have to kill them, and I teach you how to field dress them and what to eat, what not to eat, how to observe their eyes and smell the meat so that you make sure it's good. I also teach you how to pick locks so that you can get in and out of places. There was so much that could not be fit into that 47 minutes of a program. But it will go on other programs, I'm sure.
Kind of like the show we have here. So much we can't fit in it. We did fit you in, and you're very kind to have taken time for us today. I talked to your people, and they were very helpful and talked about having you back when you have a little more time. So Happy New Year to you. RudyReyes.com. Thank you for the time, and thanks for everything you're doing. And I hope people pay a lot of attention to what you're offering, because I think it's very motivational, and it will alleviate the fear of the coming apocalypse. Thank you, Rudy. Appreciate it.
You got it, buddy, and you'll see me out there on History Channel in some capacity.
We'll look for you. We're going to look for you. RudyReyes.com. We're going to come back top of the hour, and then Brent Johnson will join us for the second hour of the show. We're live today, Friday. It is January 15th, 2010. I'm Jack Blood, AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Stay with us.